Now for our story. This morning, Captain Russo, chief of the Homicide Division in Chicago, had been visited by a lady he hadn't seen for a long time. And yet, although it had been more than a year since Aunt Mary Lane had passed beyond the scope of his authority and interest, Martin Russo had remembered her vividly. So had his right-hand man, Sergeant Jackson. Neither of them could ever forget Aunt Mary's unswerving loyalty to Lefty Larkin, which they had seen during the Conley murder case in which Peggy Douglas, Aunt Mary's niece, had been so deeply involved. And this morning, Mary Lane had come to Russo's office to ask for help, for advice. She was very anxious to find a young man who had disappeared from Wakefield, a young man whose name was Mario Descari. Well, now the door is just closed. Aunt Mary, her step light and confident, walks down the corridor beyond while Sergeant Jackson turns to his superior.
So, you did it again.
Did what again?
Let Mrs. Lane get you into her clutches. Just like I said she would.
Jackson, that's no way to talk about Mrs. Lane.
Listen, Chief, I've got nothing against Mrs. Lane. She's on the up and up. But look what you got us into.
Well, after all, Mrs. Lane... Look here, Jackson, I don't have to justify my decisions to you. Just remember that.
It's okay, boss. You can't help it if you're putty where women are concerned. That's because you've never been married.
Putty?
Maybe I ought to say taffy. Yeah, that's it. Sweet, kind of sticky. And the more they work you, the smoother you get.
Jackson, that's quite an analogy coming from an old, hard-bitten limb of the law.
Who said I'm old? That's a libelous insult. 41, that's just the beginning of life.
Ah, your sore spot, huh? 41. You'll never see 51 again. And as for Mrs. Lane, perhaps you've forgotten. If it hadn't been for her, we wouldn't be where we are right now. She kept me from making a grave mistake in that Conley case. The least I can do is help her out now.
Okay. But if you didn't have that for an excuse, you'd think up another. You know, Mrs. Lane would have made a swell attorney. Boy, would she have wowed the jury.
Yeah, she would have at that. Yeah, she's a fine woman. I intend to see that this Descari is found, if that's what she wants.
Sure. Only I'm the guy who does all the work.
That's right. The best footwork man on the force.
Only I've been born with brains instead of brawn.
Jackson, you're a big bluff. I'm willing to bet if I turned Mrs. Lane down, you'd have raised the roof. You're just as impressed with her as I am.
All right. So I still got a right to beef, haven't I?
Well, now we've got that settled. Briefly, this is the picture. Mario Descari had a quarrel with his wife, based on some rumors around town that she was two-timing him with Bill Meade.
That's the guy Peggy Douglas is going to marry.
Right. Only according to Mrs. Lane, her niece and Bill Meade won't be able to marry unless we can round up Descari. She says they intend to convince him the stories were false about his wife deceiving him.
How do we know the stories were phony?
Because Mrs. Lane says so.
Oh. Well, go on.
When Descari beat her out of Wakefield, he thought he'd killed his wife. He pushed her when they were quarreling. She fell and got a concussion. Descari, not realizing what was wrong, thought he'd killed her.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, Mrs. Descari recovered. A few days ago, an attorney there in Wakefield received a letter from the husband.
Postmarked Chicago?
That's right. Now, in this letter, Descari deeded all his property to his sister.
In other words, Descari is in no hurry to return home.
Looks as if he never intends to.
I wonder why he'd bother giving his property away. Why not just let it ride? I mean, if he didn't intend to cash it in on it himself.
Well, I thought of that, too. Mrs. Lane's theory is that it was his way of striking back at his wife for what he believes she'd done.
He must be pretty sore.
Apparently. But Mrs. Lane insists he loves his wife, and she still loves him. Says he's got a quick temper, doesn't reason things out.
I get it. But I still don't see how this Descari row ties in with Peggy Douglas and her boyfriend. Let they go ahead, get married. What's stopping them?
And Mrs. Lane says most people in Wakefield believe Bill Meade really was making passes at Descari's wife. His stock went down to such an extent he lost his job, and he's blackballed everywhere in town.
Nobody will give him a job, huh? Well, that's a pretty good reason for not plunging into matrimony. Gotta eat.
From the facts I've just given you, what would you deduce as the best method for finding this man? I wonder if the same thing which occurred to me might have occurred to you.
Well, I got one idea. If Descari sent this letter giving his property away to get back at his wife...
You've got it, Jackson. It means Descaries found out his wife's not dead. There's only one way he could have. From the local newspaper. It's called the Wakefield Sentinel.
I wonder where he got hold of it.
That's your job to find out. Jackson, I want you to check every out-of-town news dealer in the city. Probably there aren't more than half a dozen in the city that would carry a Wakefield paper. Find out who's been buying it. And when you do, stake out until they show up.
For this, I worked myself up to be sergeant in homicide.
That's the best way to start. If that doesn't work, we'll try something else.
Why didn't Mrs. Lane go to missing persons? Doggone, it's their job.
No, Jackson. You admitted you're just as interested in helping her as I.
Yeah, but I didn't say I wanted to turn into a regular flatfoot, did I?
I'll get going, Jackson. Check with me if you pick up anything, and I'll send Dugan around to replace you tonight.
Oh, I should have taken up deep sea diving. Something easy.
Beat it.
Excuse me for mentioning such a sordid detail, boss. But you haven't given me a description of this bird I'm looking for. It's customary, you know.
Here's Mrs. Lane's report on him.
5 feet 10.5, broad shoulders, dark curly hair, large brown eyes. Say, boss, this guy sounds like a regular dreamboat. No wonder his wife wants him back.
Sergeant Jackson was right. Carla Descaries did long for Mario's return despite what he'd done. But there was another girl, Anna Bartok, who was fiercely determined to keep Mario. At that same moment, Anna and Carla's husband had just returned to the rooming house in Gary after a drive in the country. Anna is happy, excited. For the first time, she is confident that she will possess Mario finally. As they come into her room, Anna throws her coat on the couch and turns to the young man eagerly.
Gosh, Mario, just think we'll never have to see this place again.
I guess not.
I don't care what kind of place we find. There'll be clean, there'll be grass and trees. Oh, Mario, it's going to be swell.
Hey, you're all excited.
Sure I am. The idea of getting out of this town, being with you. Mario, kiss me.
Not now.
Okay, we'll have time, lots of time.
I wish you wouldn't build this up too much in your mind. I keep trying to tell you, you may not like it in the country.
I'll love it. Honest, I will.
But you expect too much. If you do that, you're bound to be disappointed.
No, you don't understand. I haven't any fancy ideas about farm life. I know it's hard work. But I won't mind because there'll be something to work for. Someone to work for.
Maybe a lot more work than you like, Anna. Listen, I wish you'd think it over again. Because once you get into this thing, with your money all tied up, it may not be so easy to pull out.
I won't want to pull out, Mario. Can't you get it through your head? I'm happy for the first time in years.
Maybe I shouldn't have let you talk me into it.
I promise you won't be sorry, Mario. I promise. I'll make you love it. Mario.
Oh, for the love of Mike, Anna, don't get sentimental at this point. I'm probably crazy getting into this anyway. If we're going to, we might as well get going.
Okay. I'm too happy to fight with you. Listen, you stay here, make yourself a drink or take a snooze or anything. I'm going to go to Chicago, draw my money out. I'll stop by and see an agent about taking this place over for sale. Then I'll come back, pack a few things. We'll leave tonight, huh?
Well, okay.
Take it easy while I'm gone. I'll be back as soon as I can get here. Bye now. Be good.
Oh, wait a minute, Anna.
There's something you want me to bring?
Yeah. Listen, pick up a Wakefield paper, will you?
A Wakefield? What's the matter with you, Mario Descaries? Aren't you ever going to snap out of it? You're going to sit around brooding over the past for the rest of your life? I guess I'm a dope, all right, thinking there was any hope you would.
I warned you not to expect too much, didn't I?
Yeah, sure was white of you. Wakefield paper. I thought things was looking up for us. But all you want's to beat your breast, keep needling yourself.
I know it's kind of screwy, and I can't explain, but just this one. I'll never ask you again.
On the level?
Honest.
Okay, then. But remember, you promised it's the last time.
But the last time, Anna, may be one time too many. For Sergeant Jackson has been ordered to cover the out-of-town newsstands, to watch for anyone who buys a Wakefield paper. If he sees you, Anna, he might follow you. He might, through you, discover Mario's hiding place. And then, Anna, all your plans, which include a life with Carla's husband, would be smashed.